Hey, Corey, good to see you. You having a
Good
good
to
off
see you.
season?
Good to not.
Um, we heard from Matt a couple days ago regarding competition along the offensive line. Now, pretty obviously, you're entrenched as a starter. How important is it for you to get out in the field with these guys? I know you're doing walkthroughs, but pads are coming out in a couple weeks. How quickly do you need to kind of understand or know who's going to be next to you on either side of the ball? But really, I know the right side is probably where most of the competition is going to happen. How quickly would you like that to happen so you can start to get in a groove with guys that you guys haven't had any off-field work all off season?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have as much time as possible, but the reality of it is that we need to be ready to go ASAP. Um, you know, Within the first couple days, I think that we need to have the utmost urgency in getting comfortable with whoever's going to be there. And with regards to the competition, I mean, that's all up to coach. It's not for me to say anything about it, but regardless, I think that the urgency and the discipline from all of us along the offensive line to build that cohesion as quickly as we possibly can, is going to be critical for us to having success early on in the season.
Wes Hodkowitz.
Hey, Corey. Hope everything's going well with you and yours. First off, just wanted to ask you what you thought of your new offensive line room with the media auditorium getting changed, and just in general, what your impressions have been getting back in the building and seeing all the modifications that have put in place.
Yeah, the room's pretty cool. It's not bad. A lot of room, a lot of space, and I like it. It's we're all adjusting. I think we're all um, taking well to it and taking well to all the adjustments. A lot of stuff to remember. A lot of little new things here and there. Wearing masks. When to wear a mask, when it's okay. During workouts, maybe to take them off and stuff. So just being alert and cognizant of what's going on and who's around you and what you're doing. So it's and like Coach LaFleur had said, man, this does require another level of discipline from everybody, really, to be aware of where you're going. You can't, not like there are a ton of places to go out in Green Bay, but it's be conscious of how often you go out, how many people you're around, because not only is it critical to our success, but it's also critical to a lot of people's families who might have family members who have autoimmune disorders, might have, conditions, whatever have you. They've expressed that to us as well. So, it's important on the field and off the field.
Dennis Krause.
Corey, will Brian Bulaga be harder to replace on or off the field?
I would say equally both. He was his presence had been felt here for a number of years, especially by myself, who was younger than him. He was a delight to be around in the locker room, and we will miss him dearly in the locker room, in the meetings. That is for sure, without a doubt. On the field, Brian was obviously a hell of a player. Still is. Will continue to have a high level of success in LA, I'm sure. So we're gonna have to replace him. I mean, that's our job. It's all along the offensive line. We got to pick up for a guy who, again, was a hell of a player. Still is. Said that twice, and that's just going to be something that we're going to have to do, have to adjust to, and quickly.
Ryan Wood.
Hey, Corey, hope you and the family are well. If there are games this fall without fans in the stands, how much does that change the pre-snap process, the communication? And specifically, is there any more paranoia of teams picking up your calls because there is no crowd noise filtering that out?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say from that aspect, I wouldn't say that it's too much of a concern because – typically where we use our calls, our verbal calls, that's at home anyway. So I would expect teams to have listened to our calls, and we change them a lot throughout the year. We go through cycles of what calls we use for sure, and we also use fake calls. There's a lot of things that we were already doing to combat that issue, and that issue was kind of we had that prior to COVID. Now with no fans in the stand, I think it's going to be kind of an advantage to the away team, seeing as we wouldn't have to use our silent count. If they decide to pump in crowd noise, I don't know if that's an option or not, but then we'd obviously have to go back to silent count and everything. But if we were able to, not have to use our silent count, not have to use our visual signals, that would kind of be an advantage to the away team, no matter where you're playing. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting just to have to combat whatever comes at us.
Rob Domofsky.
Hey, Corey, two questions. One, did Anna and your little guy stay back home, or did they come to Green Bay? And if so, what went into that decision? And then the second question is, last time you were heading into a contract year, it was December 30th when you signed an extension. Any chance you think it could get done earlier than that time frame this time, or is it going to go later?
First, both of my wife and our son Seamus, they're both in Wisconsin right now. Kind of our decision with that is we'd rather be together if, it's a long season. We've been conscious of who we've been around, how many places we're taking Shay and being conscious of, again, like the environment that we're putting ourselves in. And I think that, you could look at the statistics and say that, it's not affecting kids and infants and as highly as it is, the older population. So that's kind of comforting. But, and again, you've seen anomalies where people have gotten sick and kids have gotten sick for sure. So we just thought best thing that if we were all together, we can all be safe together and we can all control where we're going together. With regards to the contract, I mean, it is what it is, man. I have no idea what's going to happen. I can only control what I can control. So just playing out the year, seeing what happens and going from there.
Steve McGargy.
Just going back to the no fans in the stands, do you think it's a situation where some teams could be impacted by that more than others, just depending on what kind of home field advantage they normally have? And I was just wondering, how do you think it'll impact y'all specifically with the home field advantage you typically have?
I'd say, yeah, some stadiums that are known to be louder, like New Orleans, Seattle, Kansas City, I would say that they would lose that advantage. I don't know that that's an advantage given to the other team, but I definitely think that they lose that edge should there be no fans in the stands this fall. We'll see if that how much that impacts the game in general. It remains to be seen, but I would definitely, you would think on paper that would be something that would be an advantage that they would lose. But again, we'll see.
Mike Clemens.
Corey, last December and January, that flu bug was going around the team. Bakhtiari said it was the worst he'd ever had. Balaga missed the Seattle game. Has that incident been in the back of the players and coaches' minds about, the challenge, how tricky it can be to contain a bug in a locker room or the meeting rooms?
Oh yeah. And I think it more so speaks to just how, just like you said, how contagious and how difficult it can be to, when something gets in the locker room, just like you said, how contagious and difficult it can be to control a virus or whatever it was like that. And with COVID, I think we've all seen that it's wildly more contagious than most things that we've seen in the past. So it's, that's the battle that every single team is facing, and trying to control and trying to mitigate, the little things and, as much as they can. It's probably not going to be perfect, and there's going to be instances, we've already seen instances all across the league of guys getting it, but so far we've handled it well. It'll continue to develop as we get into the season, traveling, hotels and the more people that are around in and out of the facility, picking up guys off practice squad and guys off free agents. So a lot of factors, a lot of things going on, a lot of parts moving around. But again, like Coach LaFleur had talked to us about, it's going to require a higher level of discipline from everybody top down.
Mike Spofford.
Hey, Corey, hope all is well. Couple of questions. One, just wondering what your first impression is of Rick Wagner and just the interactions you've had either in Green Bay or during the virtual meetings in the off season. And then are you or any of the other linemen talking about any equipment modifications or things? We've seen things on the internet with like face shields or mouth guards related to, trying to protect the spread of the virus. Any considerations there on your part?
Yeah, Rick, first off, he's a great dude. I've had a few conversations with him. He seems to have picked up on the offense pretty well. Very in tune with what's going on already. Coach Steno said he is a lot less. I'm trying to think of a PC way to put it, but he's taken a lot better to the and a lot calmer to the playbook adjustment than some of us did last year. So that speaks to probably his intelligence and his discipline that he had over the offseason to get in the playbook and study it. So yeah, all positive things regarding Rick Wagner for sure. And with regards to the face mask and the equipment adjustments, that's just I don't know if that's something that some guys will do. We haven't had any talks about it in the O-line room. I haven't had any discussions with any guys about it. I don't know if guys are talking about it or not. I haven't specifically had any conversations with guys, but I don't anticipate wearing a face mask, the face shield. But maybe it's something that they recommend, and I'll change my mind come time for the season. But as of right now, I don't see myself wearing it.
Tom Silverstein.
Hey, Corey, nice to see you. I was sort of going to ask the same thing, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a process through training camp. You go face to face with guys all game long, breathing on you and a lot of chatter along the offensive line. Is that something you think you might consider later on, just in regard to whether you would wear that, or I guess they're working on a gaiter that might be able to cover you? Would you be able to do your signals and things like that with a face shield on?
Yeah, I guess this speaks a little to my ignorance, but I don't know. I don't really have any information regarding that one way or the other. If that's something that our trainers come to us and say, hey, look, we've, studies show this and that, certain percentage level of reduction and, breathing on people and, of contracting the virus. And, we anticipate it lowering everybody's chance of getting it. Yeah, for sure. That's something that I would consider. Absolutely. I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't really talked with the trainers again at all about that, but that's something for sure that I think they're looking into right now, I would imagine. And come time for the season, that's definitely an adjustment that we could make.
Lance Allen.
Corey, good to see you're doing well. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Corey, you've talked discipline off the field a couple of times, but you're a people person. Is it tough for you to say no? Because we've done the story with the CASA program and you're so good with the kids. The bike kid that you developed a relationship with the family, and he might be 20 years old for all I know now at this point, because you've known him for so long. But is that going to be the toughest part for you to retrain your brain and just say, I got to do what I got to do? Or what is it for you?
Yeah, honestly, I'll give a lot of credit to my wife because she's definitely at the forefront of all of that. I know I've developed a relationship with Travis on my own, but she's definitely the more social out of the two of us. But we've done a great job thus far of doing of trying to contribute in different ways. I know we had the virtual CASA Presents this year, raised a lot of money for that. We've done different outreaches, virtually and different stuff like that. But it is just like you said, you're going to have to train yourself to, get takeout instead of going out to dinner, more often than you did before. And, Uber Eats more than you did before. And, maybe I'm eating at the stadium, 3 meals a day and bringing something home for my wife. It's different. It's just different little things like that. And just, again, to your point, Travis is Dad, I won't speak too much into it, but he is definitely a person who is in the category of being susceptible to this virus. And that's something that, I really can't go visit Travis right now. It's, that's just, that again, that's another restriction, discipline that I'm going to have to take to say, hey, I'd really love to see you right now, but I don't think it's in the best interest of either one of us. And again, I haven't seen my grandparents in a while. I haven't seen, luckily I was able to see my parents over the summer, but even with them, it's like my parents are sitting there restricting themselves. I don't know that they'll make too many trips up to Green Bay this year. And, we're going to have to evaluate all that stuff. It's an adjustment, but it's something that we have to do for each other.
Matt Schneidman.
Corey, what'd you think when you saw Goody take 3 straight interior O-line guys in the draft? And what have been your first impression specifically of Jake, just because he's a guy who started 50 games at your position in college?
Yeah, no reaction, I guess. I just saw it. And then first reaction, Jake seems to be really intelligent. He seems to have picked up on the playbook really well thus far. Obviously, we haven't seen any of the rookies or anybody in general, their performance, so not that I would speak to that, but I can't. But just in the meeting rooms, he's very attentive, good kid, meshing well with everybody in the room. And again, seems to be very intelligent and picking up the playbook very well.
Wes Hodquitz.
Hey, Corey, you touched on it, obviously losing Brian, but what did it mean to retain Lane Taylor in this whole equation? And what does that kind of give you guys, just a sort of an insurance policy there with everything that he can do?
Yeah, Lane's played a lot of ball here. Lane's at a high level, and Lane knows the offense. He knows what to do. He knows kind of what I'm thinking at certain times. And just today in the walkthrough, we were able to discuss something, and there was a little bit of consternation. Seems to be a word we're using a lot around here. During one of the plays, and we were able to talk it out, and we got on the same page, like that. So I was definitely happy to see that, excited for him, and also just excited in general that we were able to retain him for sure.
Mark Daniels.
Hey, Corey, thanks for the time. Just wondered if you can give me what your expectations are in the jump that'll be required to make in the run game this year, after it was a bit of a departure from what you had been doing under Mike McCarthy, and now what you want to get done with Matt.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Just what are your expectations for this second year now in Matt's run system?
Okay, yeah. I expect us to improve for sure. I think that again, all of us are having. It's the second year in the system. All of us are taking. We got a year under our belts in the same system. We all know the plays a lot better than we did last year. We all know what we're trying to accomplish on our plays. Not just our assignments, but big picture wise, and we can kind of anticipate the direction that we're going in games. All that is going to play into our success this year, and I expect us to take another step. I think that we did pretty well in the run game last year, and we definitely want to do even better this year.
We have time for one more. Aaron Nagler.
Corey, I was wondering if you guys have done much work. I know it's really early, but as far as implementing some kind of hurry up or up tempo stuff, because I know last year was just something you guys never really got to during the summer. I know both Aaron and Matt have spoken about adding that to the offense.
We haven't as of right now, but that's usually not something that comes in the first few days. That's kind of a later camp install for sure. So it's without a doubt we're going to get to that and put an even greater emphasis on that this year. Because like you said, last year, I don't think we took full advantage of that, especially with as much as Coach LaFleur has used that in the past and has kind of the film study and everything that we've done on it. I think that's something that he likes to use, and definitely something that we like to use and we've used in the past ourselves for sure. So I'm assuming later in camp we'll get to that.